In the scorched sands of North Darfur, there's a grim countdown underway. A line between survival and just utter despair has basically been erased by this conflict. And today, we are deep diving into this crisis because it's not just ongoing, it's accelerating towards something catastrophic.
Right.
The news at the heart of this is a warning from the International Organization for Migration, the IOM. They've told the world that relief operations in Sudan are, this is their phrase, on the brink of collapse.
And that phrase, brink of collapse, it lands with such weight. It means the entire logistics pipeline, the one keeping 12 million displaced people alive, is failing.
So our mission today really is to get past the headlines.
Exactly. To cut through that, that news fatigue that inevitably sets in with a crisis like Sudan's. We need to connect the dots between this emergency, this collapsing aid system, and the specific places, the dates, the horrific human cost.
And the immediate catalyst for all of this, for this new waves of desperation, it really comes down to one city.
El-Fasher?
El-Fasher.
Precisely. To get what's happening now, you have to understand what el-Fasher was. I mean, until just a few weeks ago, it was the critical hub for North Darfur. It was the last major stronghold for the Sudanese armed forces, the SAF, in the entire region.
Okay, so let's unpack its fall. What happened?
Well, the city just went silent. After days of just ferocious clashes, it was seized by the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF.
And that was just recently, right?
Very recent, October 26, 2025. And you have to understand, this wasn't just a military objective being taken. This was the systematic unraveling of the last bit of security people had.
What are the reports saying from people on the ground?
They're brutal. I mean, aid workers, UN observers, they're painting a picture of just absolute horror. Hundreds of lives lost in the initial fighting, but what came after that was different.
How so?
It was systematic. Widespread looting, targeted assaults, and reports of families being torn apart in the middle of the night. When you have that kind of targeted violence, there's no choice. You just have to run.
Which led to this.
Yeah.
This human avalanche pouring out into the desert.
That's a good way to put it. We're talking about nearly 90,000 people, men, women, children, just pouring out of el-Fasher and all the little hamlets around it.
And when you hear a number like 90,000, it's so easy for it to become just a statistic.
Oh, absolutely, but it's not. These are parents trying to shield toddlers from the wind. It's elders collapsing from thirst. But the journey itself, that's what makes this so uniquely tragic.
It was a gauntlet.
A deadly gauntlet. They were fleeing down these routes that are they're riddled with bandits. There's mine-laced land, unexploded bombs everywhere. And they left with nothing.
No rations, no water.
No rations, no access to wells, certainly no medical supplies. So many of them, they collapsed before they ever reached anything that looked like safety.
And for those who did make it, the destination was a place called Tawila.
Right. A dusty, struggling outpost about 70 kilometers, maybe 43 miles away.
Tawila just couldn't handle it.
Not even close. It became an emergency zone overnight. Makeshift camps, like one called Diba Naira, they just swelled far beyond any kind of capacity. The infrastructure was already weak, and then this wave it broke everything.
I mean, you can almost picture it from the descriptions we're seeing. The ground is just cracked earth. There are too few tents flapping like defeated flags, I read somewhere.
Yeah, and communal pots scraped clean by noon. Lines for the last drops of murky water that stretch for, as far as you can see. This is where those big numbers, they stop being abstract. They become about hunger, about disease.
Right, and this is where we start to hear personal stories.
Exactly, and they bring it all into sharp focus. Take Sohaiba Omar. She's a 20-year-old mother there. She says they're scraping by on a single meal a day, single lunch, and that's only if they're lucky.
And she talked about sanitation, which is it's a terrifying secondary threat, isn't it?
It is, the fear of disease. She said people are just digging holes in the dirt for toilets, and there's this paralyzing fear that one bad rain, just one, could trigger a cholera outbreak.
Which would sweep through a camp like that like a storm, I think she said.
Yes, and that's the difference, isn't it? You survive a war only to face this immediate lethal threat of disease right after.
And then on the other side, you have the aid workers.
The volunteers on the ground, yeah. People like Batoul Mohamed, she's 25, and she's just seeing this crushing demand firsthand.
What did she say?
She described it as impossible. The cries are endless, pressing in with empty stomachs and pleas. She said the pots of food run dry before the sun even sets. They have to turn away children.
Turning away hungry children. I mean,
yeah,
that's an unimaginable position to be in.
It is. So what you're seeing in Tawila, this sort of micro-horror,
Mm.
it's being replicated across entire regions.
So it's not an isolated problem.
Not at all. The data confirms it. I mean, look at North Kordofan. In that same window between October 26 and November 9, another 39,000 people fled their homes there. The fall of el-Fasher wasn't a contained event. It sent ripples of displacement across state lines into places that are just as unprepared.
Okay, so if we're connecting these dots, let's zoom out. Remind us of the bigger picture here. How did this all start?
The powder keg really ignited back in April 2023, but the roots go deeper. You have to look at the 2019 revolution, the one that overthrew Omar al-Bashir.
Right.
This war fundamentally is a power struggle between two groups that were, for a short time, actually partners, uneasy partners, trying to figure out a democratic transition.
And who are these two groups?
So on one side, you have the Sudanese Armed Forces, the SAF, that's the state army, traditional military. On the other, the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF. They're a very powerful, very wealthy paramilitary group that grew out of the infamous Janjaweed militias from the last Darfur conflict.
And they couldn't agree on a path forward.
They couldn't agree on how to merge their forces or, who would ultimately be in control of the country and its resources. That political failure, it turned into a military war for survival.
And the scale of it is it's staggering. The World Health Organization says at least 40,000 dead since 2023.
At least. And every aid expert you talk to will tell you that's a fraction of the real number. A tiny fraction. Once you factor in famine, preventable disease, the real toll is, well, it's horrifyingly higher.
So you have 12 million people now adrift, as we said, moving through a country that's become a maze of checkpoints and craters.
And that brings us right back to the central problem. It makes delivering aid almost impossible. The logistics are a nightmare, even if you have the funding.
Which is the perfect entry point to talk about this IOM warning. Their convoys are dodging ambushes, their warehouses are empty.
Exactly. This whole system is failing. That's why the IOM released that statement on Tuesday, November 11th. They said operations are on the brink of collapse.
And it's not just one thing, is it?
No, it's a perfect storm. It's the physical insecurity, it's the suffocating red tape, and it's the fact that supplies are just critically low.
Let's focus on that for a second. The red tape. We hear that term a lot. What does it actually mean on the ground?
It's the silent killer. It means local commanders just deny your transport permits. It means every single checkpoint run by a militia demands a bribe to let a truck of medicine pass. It means government officials can just reject your list of who gets the aid.
It's design friction.
Perfectly put. It is designed to stop you, or at least slow you down so much that the aid becomes useless. So even the little bit of aid that does get to a place like Tawila, it's gone in an instant.
And then you can't resupply. Which means that cholera threat we talked about, it goes from being a risk to an inevitability.
That's the cascading failure. The IOM Director General, Amy Pope, she was incredibly direct about this. She said, we are only reaching a fraction of those in need.
This wasn't a future warning.
No, this was a statement about right now. She said that if donors don't flood in funds, and if the blockades aren't eased, an even greater catastrophe is coming this winter.
So we have two things happening at once. The physical danger stops the trucks, and the bureaucracy stops them from ever getting restocked.
Yes. One ensures aid is delayed, the other ensures it runs out. It's a race against an unraveling, and right now, the unraveling is winning.
But amid all this, all these official warnings, what really stands out are these flickers of defiance you see in the reports. Back in Tawila's camps, you hear about neighbors sharing the last of their grain, volunteers trying to mend wounds with basically nothing. People like Sohaiba and Batoul, their voices are rising up. They're not asking for pity. They're just demanding a chance at tomorrow.
And that local effort, that's what's holding the line. Because the global pipeline is failing.
It's a race against the unraveling of an entire nation.
It is. And the IOM's warning on Tuesday was the clearest signal yet that the international structure is breaking. We know the scale of the horror. We know where it's collapsing. So that leaves a really critical question for you, for anyone listening. Given how clearly we can see this aid structure failing, what are the real logistical, the moral, and the political implications for all of us if that last aid convoy stalls in the dust for good?